Well, and even the redwoods, right? The old growths who survived the logging industry. The way there is this kind of like pattern of survival against atrocity that there's this through. It's so clear to me. Right? Fuck, I need to write this essay. It's so clear to me, this like through line of like the codicy as a form, the codicy as guide, but also this kind of insistence of resilience through atrocity, this idea of like resilience through what could be considered an apocalypse. How many apocalypses did it take to get here? And how is this facing yet another the climate crisis, right? Yet another apocalypse. And facing it with this idea, right, of learning to thread the centuries through song, right, carried away by what comes next. There is this like note of like, no, it goes on.
It goes on, it all opens out into a field of energy, the cosmos, which is feeding us and destroying us. It's just the spiral, the life, the power of life.
Absolutely. Well, and it ends in this cosmic way, in the heart of the redwood, that inner light, the stardust, right? And it just, and in that way, it's like, it's so defiant to think through the book form as well as being that which survives, that which continues the legacy, right? And there's so much about legacy in this, in the letter itself, thinking through the timeline of trees, the human lifetime, but also again, like in the context of your own art practice, right? The practice of the mushroom dyes from your parents, and there is again this like intergenerational ancestral conversation being moved forward with an eye to the future. That is like
the resilience, hope, moving forward, thinking in a much larger context, and you know, basically I'm convinced that this is a benevolent universe, and it's a benevolent force.
Agreed.
And if I can draw on that, if I recognize and can draw, it's there waiting.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it's there waiting, and like again, the way that it's been captured, like this movement of the fox for me is like everything.
We had a great conversation about that. I love that.
I see the fox moving through the redwoods. I see the and that there's something about that movement where I'm like, how have you captured movement and stillness? How are you, you know?
Well, the time-based nature of the book, time-based in that you take time, you stop, you reflect,
right?
Which is what it's calling you to do. Stop, slow down, be with me, be with this. And then the time-based aspect of film and animation, that movement that happens through the repetition and slight changes of imagery. And so this is what this calls on. It's like you've got these static images and then you've got something that's moving.
Well, and there's also like the nature of like reader-writer being parsed out, right? This notion of like the speed at which our electrons rush to reach each other, the electricity that emits itself beyond corporeal time, which is something that I've always thought about, because it's like, okay, so when you read this, whether or not it's explicit, it's like you are invited to my consciousness. You're invited to the inner landscape. You're invited into everything I think about and what is most precious, especially in the epistolary form, which is such an intimate kind of exchange.
Correspondent and corresponded.
Exactly. And so there is this like raw intimacy of consciousness. There is this raw intimacy of cosmos that's happening in this letter, and like I am just so grateful for this collaboration, because again, I feel like I'm understanding my own work in a completely new context, and that's not something I frankly ever anticipated. Like I never knew it could be so rich, and there's just like I said, now I have to write this essay.